Hi, my name is Tim Kitzman. I am stuck at home just like the rest of you during these lockdowns. And my family and I thought it'd be a good idea to put together a series of videos. I'm a professional baker, been in the industry 25 years now, and used to be a teacher in San Francisco. So what we want to do is have a series of videos that teaches and educates how to put together professional breads at home. I've already made a handful of videos that show some of the equipment needs, a little bit on baker's percent, a little bit on ingredients and the functionality, and a little bit on procedure. So all together, between the whole series, I hope you get a full education on this. And it's intended for you to be able to not only just see it and learn it, but for you to take it on and kind of create on your own. So I hope you enjoy the series, and you can follow us at kingdombread-tampa on the YouTube channel, and then at our website, kingdombread-tampa.com. Thank you. Hi. Today we're going to make Pain de Campagne, which is a simple bread that is going to be basically a country sourdough. And it's going to be made from our sourdough culture that, if you've been watching the series so far, you've come along and actually created a sourdough culture. It's taken us about 6 days. It's at a point where I can start to make bread, and it's going to be zero commercial yeast, nothing added, just the flour, water, salt. Literally, that's all that's going in this bread. And I think you're going to enjoy this, and it's going to allow us to create and make so many more breads that we're going to be coming into. So, time to begin. To begin with the Pain de Campagne, our country sourdough, I had to create the culture, which started last night, and I made enough to not only make the bread today, but also have enough of a seed left over to be able to feed so that I can keep making bread. So in here is 600 grams of the whole wheat liquid levain. And I only need 534 grams of this, so I'm going to have the excess to be able to use as my seed to be able to feed and keep going. So anytime you want to make any breads using sourdough cultures, you have to kind of calculate how much you're going to need for the continuing of that culture. All right, it's very important. There's days that you might use it all and go, oh my goodness. All right, so what I'm going to do is just take the water that I've got, scale off what I need here. Okay, so the rest of that is going to be available to continue my culture. All right, and then this we're just going to put in the mixer. And don't need the scale right now. The flour. Okay, so we're going to add our dry. Okay, so we've finished mixing. All we had to do was, again, in low speed, about 7 minutes to incorporate, depending on the batch size and whatever, it could be more or less. And we're after a dough temperature of around 75 to 77. And I've got 77.5. All right, so it's in good shape that way. And all we're going to do is, again, just kind of give a light fold before putting this into a bulk fermenting. This will have one fold over a 3-hour period. So this is a much longer fermentation than some of the other breads. So it's going to be 3 to 3.5 hours. And then after we bulk ferment and we shape, it's going to be proofing for an additional anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. So it's a longer process, much of a day. but it's well worth it, and it's only a few minutes of work in between. So if you're willing to do that. Okay, so we have our dough. I'm going to give one more fold in about an hour and a half, and then in another hour and a half we'll divide. All right. Right, so it's been about an hour and a half, and we're going to do our first fold. Our total bulk fermentation should be about 3 to 3.5 hours, that depending on dough temperature. And is the dough consistency, meaning how loose or how tight the dough is, you may need 1 and or 2 folds during this period of time. Coming out of the mixer and after the fold on the table initially, it felt to me that it was just going to be 1. But if I had more water in it, perhaps, then there would be an additional fold. So I'm just going to do 1 fold. As I said, 90 minutes in. And simple process, we've done this before. Dough feels very nice and lively. So that means that our culture, our sourdough that we've been building, has actually been doing a very good job. Okay, so we can see that it's starting to lighten up, and the actual feel of the dough is starting to be filled basically with carbon dioxide. And the dough strength is actually pretty good, and that's why I'm saying that it's only going to be that 1 fold for this period of time. If your flour itself absorbs maybe differently as far as the water and the hydration, and like I said, if it's looser or if it's stronger, you'll decide whether you'll need 1 and or 2 folds. So those are things that you'll just decide as you go along. And I'm just going to continue to bulk ferment, and then in about another hour and a half, we'll begin dividing. All right, so we've had just over 3 hours of bulk fermentation, and the dough has had a very nice chance to ferment, which means that the culture that we made is also active and really, really vibrant, I should say. And I'm pretty happy with what's going on. And so what we're going to do now is just divide the dough, pre-shape it into a light round shape, and then let it relax before we do a final shape. And just takes very light dusting. As least amount of flour as possible to use is best. That way you're not incorporating additional flour into the dough. So I'm going to scale these at about 800 grams each, and then just give it a light pre-shape. So often I'll just kind of release it from the table. And as I've mentioned before, I wouldn't cut directly on the scale, pressing down, because that can damage the scale, and it's just not worth that. Once you get that first one, then generally the next few pieces kind of comes close together. So finish dividing, and whenever you're going to want to pre-shape, just flip it over, right? Because you want these little pieces that are on the inside. And again, just with your scraper, you're just going to start to gather it together. It really takes very little effort. The table does most of the work. So just give it a light angle, a little pre-shape. Pre-shaping is a relatively important step. It's going to allow you to kind of get the dough into a position that when you do a final shape, it's going to be consistent, right? So each shape that you do eventually will be the same. It also allows the dough to relax one more time so that you're not putting stress on the dough itself. Okay. Just going to pre-shape all of these. We're going to let it relax maybe 15 to 20 minutes. You just check the dough, and then when it does come back, we'll do the final shape and then proof. Okay, so we had a chance to pre-shape, as you see, and it's been about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to let it relax. And what you can generally tell is if you can give it a light stretch without it, being too much of an elastic quality to it, it's a good time to shape. So all we're going to do, just a very light bit of flour. We're going to shape a batard, okay, a loaf about like this. And we're just going to bring it in, like so. Bring it back to the top. And what I'm going to do is kind of square it up a little bit. So I'm going to pull in the ends so I can give it a bit of a square shape, which is going to be better for you when you want to have more of an even slice all the way through. There are other shapes that you can do that are going to be more pointed, or tapered. But for what I actually want to do, this is kind of the shape that I want to do for a batard. All right. So if you see as such, what we're going to do is have these seam side down, proofing. Just roll it back up, lay it down, and there we go. All right, so we're just going to keep going through on batards. I'm going to do 4 batards and 2 boules. Okay, so it also is an excellent loaf to do as a round item. And so, a little dusting flour for the inside here. This is where you get to those nice little swirls and marks on the bread. That's kind of what everybody thinks is pretty cool. These are just called banneton, and they are relatively inexpensive. You can get them for probably less than $20 or so. And so on a boule, here all we're going to do is start to bring it in the middle, pull it back to yourself, and then we've got around. All right, a little bit of flour on the top as well, because it can stick, even though we've dusted inside the basket, but it can stick on the inside as well. Seam side up in the basket, and we're going to let these proof probably 1.5 to 2 hours. This has actually been a very lively dough. Very happy with what it is right now, and so when we do see it, we'll check on proof, and then we'll bake. All right, thank you. All right, so we've had a chance to let these proof. It's been just about 2 hours, as we were saying, that this would take. And when you see these proofed, what you'll do is you'll take your finger, press in, and then when it starts to come back slowly and leave a slight indentation, that's when you know that you're at proof right now. All right, so the batards, the loaves here, were proofed seam side down, okay? So this is the top, the other side the bottom, and all we're going to do is, as we've done before, okay, just roll that over. Now these grow pretty big in the oven, so I'm only going to load 2 loaves at a time. Possibly could get 3 on there, but I don't really want to take the chance. But what I want to do on scoring these is I'm going to do 2 long cuts that are going to overlap. One here, and then they're going to overlap here. It doesn't have to be at much of an angle, about maybe 1/8 of an inch deep, and we're just going to go straight down. Okay. I'm going to load this up as such. Again, we have to load with some sense of urgency so we can get the steam in on there. All right. This one I'm just going to give a little light dusting on the top just to give it a bit of a different look. All right. Same score though. 2 overlapping, straight down. All the way from end to end, all right? All right, now we've got to get steam, which we want to do as quickly as we can. And again, with crushed ice, because it goes slowly on the steam, and then I also give it just a blast of water at the same time. Now that will steam slowly and envelop over the entire oven and will allow these to expand nicely. All right, so we had a chance to bake the petards, and now we're going to load the boules into the oven. And just a little light dusting on the top of these. Okay. And again, we're just going to do 2 loaves at a time. So you just slowly let those out. All right. And when we're going to score these, again, it's going to be something that is kind of your own signature, your own design, but there's a handful that are, fairly common. I'm just going to do, it's 4 strokes that don't overlap each other, all right? And then if you want, you can even just do a little one in the middle. So I'm going to load this one first. And again, just very quickly, so we get the steam in on here. Here, I'm going to start from the center back here, and I'm going to do kind of a swirl spiral. So, all right. All right, so we had a chance to bake bread, and we made some wonderful Pain de Campagne. Again, it's a country sourdough that literally takes just flour, water, salt, okay? It's a good process, a good culture, lots of time, and good balance of temperature. I just, it's very gratifying to be able to see these, and you can actually make these at home. It really doesn't take, other than just the time and the patience, doesn't take a whole lot of effort. So I hope you enjoy this. This is an excellent bread that can transcend into other breads, other flavors that you can add, like inclusions into seeds and nuts and things like that, which I'll probably show in other episodes. But right now, we're just going to make this, and I'm looking forward to eating this. If you want to follow us, the YouTube channel, kingdombread-tampa, and then at our website, that is kingdombread-tampa.com. All of these videos are uploaded to there, and you can see them all. Thank you.